I'll start with you. Your reaction to the comments we just got from Energy Secretary Rick Perry.
Well, the most important thing is doubling down on the message that Iran was involved. The world economy suffered a stroke on Saturday. And the extent of the stroke and whether it's going to lead to an authentic heart attack depends on two things. The extent of damage to the northern stabilization plant at the Abqaiq processing facility, and whether we have hard intelligence that Iran was involved in sponsoring this, because I think we can expect that there will be at least a limited military retaliation against the territory or the entity or the hardware that was involved in this attack. So it's at least a stroke, and it may be a heart attack.
That's a key point, the idea of whether you see some sort of military response to this. Jason, I want to get your thoughts. When you look at crude prices up 10%, whether it's Brent or WTI today, and the expectation that you could potentially see those go higher depending on how things unfold here, how much of that is production related and how much of that is risk premium related, and the idea that a conflict could potentially ratchet up here?
Well, I think it's both. I mean, when the secretary says there's plenty of oil in the world, that's not quite right. There were pretty thin margins of spare capacity even before this happened. And the U.S. shale revolution, while transformational, doesn't provide spare capacity that can be ramped up and down quickly and supply emergency stocks into the market when we need them. Of course, we have the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, but with the largest oil disruption ever, nearly 6 million barrels a day, that may not be enough, depending on how long this persists. And the new factor now is the market recognizing that relatively small but well-targeted and sophisticated attacks on the Saudi infrastructure can cause huge disruptions in the global oil market. That's not going away because the threat against those sources of infrastructure with the Houthis or the Iranians or others is going to continue.
Bob, just to wrap arms around the attacks and the actual level of sophistication of those attacks, I know your firm's been calling for a heightened risk of a potential attack in Saudi Arabia since May. How safe and secure are these structures and these facilities that such an attack could actually take place? And I guess what does that mean for the future when you have the Houthis coming out and saying that there could be more?
Clearly not safe enough. Protection wasn't adequate. Jason and I had the same jobs for different presidents, but we both went to bed and woke up every day worrying about the Abqaiq facility, by far the most important piece of real estate on planet Earth. And if you look at those photos yesterday, released by the Trump administration, and I suspect we'll see more photos later today, the hits on those spheroids were outstandingly precise. And they smoked the stabilization towers with exquisite precision and skill. So whoever did that knew exactly what to hit and did it very well. I think it's well beyond the means of a Houthi tribesman in Yemen. This was a very sophisticated actor who knew what to hit and hit it well. And there is a risk of recurring attacks, really. Nobody can be very confident here that this kind of attack was perpetrated on that facility.
Jason.
Yeah, Bob, those fears, I'm hearing the same as was just said there. I mean, do you agree that it was a very specific hit, and apparently they're not going to be easily repaired?
No,
it's not something you could just patch,
right.
From what I'm hearing, obviously.
This is not Amazon Prime delivery. Look, a friend of mine who's very knowledgeable said if you want to get one of those stabilization columns on a rush basis, 6 months. We're talking about tailor-made engineering, logistics, supply chain. This is not a replaceable piece of a pipeline or something. That's why the facility is so important. It has equipment that's very difficult to replace if hit. And at least 5 of those, maybe 7 spheroids were hit. And I count roughly 5 of the stabilization towers. That is not good.